Well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to Red Hot Talk once again. And welcome, everybody. It looks like, oh my goodness, look at all those comments that's popping up. All right, I'm just having a quick look. What they are is about OM System. Okay. OM System needs a new camera.
I don't see those, Jimmy. Maybe it's because I've just joined.
Perhaps, but yes, it's popping up. But the usuals are here, usual suspects. We got a few people here: John, Jeff, Chris, Anthony. Yeah, welcome. And we're gonna wait a few minutes until everybody joins up. Oh, another one, David is here also. David Black. Yes, good afternoon. So it's very, very interesting topic today. It's about camera and lenses. I want to separate them because I don't want you to mix them together, because it only will give you a difficult decision to make when it comes to upgrades, right? It's not about it's not about, you're new to photography. Something is very different to what we discussed in the past few weeks, but more about psychologically, whenever there's a new lens or new camera comes out and you read about all this review, you look at all these camera manufacturers or lens manufacturers promotional materials. I'm guilty of that as well. When you read them, you feel like, oh, they are nice, like all this new optical formula, the new sharpness and new things that can basically in some ways future proofing if you do upgrade your cameras in the future. So, maybe it's really good for me to buy that lens. And then on the other hand, you've got new camera come out, you've got all this new, supposedly new features, new speed, new better this and better that. It's very easy to get trapped in that kind of mindset. You say, oh, should I get the new camera? But the thing is, none of us are super rich. Unless some of you are, but I can't keep buying, like new lens and new camera every time it comes out. It's impossible. So if I'm not talking about professional stuff, professional is different. In my business, if I need something, I'll buy it just for the business. I just list it as a business expense. But personally, and I can't afford to keep buying different lenses and different cameras, and I will have to think really deep and hard about whether I want to spend that money. So I want to ask you guys exactly the same question, right? If there are a few things come out, a new lens and new cameras, which one would you prioritize yourself to get, a camera or a lens? And that's the question today about today's chat, because I've been in the industry for a long time now. Before even I become a professional, I'm being an amateur photographer, and I remember back in the days when there's a new lens announced or new camera announced, I was super excited about it, and I really want to get them. But then the thing, I don't have that money because they're, the cameras are expensive, right? And lenses are also very expensive.
Be right back, Jimmy. Carry on.
Sure. And you got all these like really nice glass, and it's they look nice, they're really, really cool. I want to get them, but I can't afford them. So the only thing I could think of is save up for a purchase, right? At some point in the future. So when that time comes, and I'll buy one, right? Whether it's going to be a camera or lens. And that same question's been in my mind, all these years, and every single time when the same thing happens, and I would ask myself, oh, should I get a new camera first or should I get a new lens first? It is a dilemma, I have to admit it. And then I think pretty much everybody who like to buy gears and or collect cameras would basically think the same way. So I can ask Rod a couple of questions. Well, does it ever happen to you as well? Whenever there's something new came out, you talk to yourself and, should I get a lens first or a camera first?
I think it's always tempting to go for a camera, isn't it? Because you think that is the kind of heart of the whole system. I have in the past been caught in this trap where you feel if something's new, you have to get it. it's you know it's better, right? Because it's new and it's got these improved specs and what have you. But it's difficult because I think very often I've found that it's important to have the right lenses before having the right camera. So
Yeah.
I've bought into a system more than once where the lenses haven't really
Yeah.
lived up to what I hoped they would. And also, I think I've been very good this Black Friday. By the way, I haven't bought anything,
I'm
even though
very
I came
bad.
close.
I'm
I
very
came
bad.
close with a couple of things. But where I've been caught out before is I bought a bargain. I think I talked
Yeah.
about this last time.
Yeah.
Bought a bargain, but then you have to build it up with other stuff. So
Yeah.
I've almost bought into the Lumix S system a couple of times because the cameras have been very cheap. But
Yep.
then you can't use them without lenses. And you start thinking, oh, I need that lens, I need that lens, I need that lens. And what started out as a bargain becomes a bit of a millstone in a way, because you've bought this cheap camera and now you've got to justify owning it, and that's where
Yep.
it gets expensive. So I've dodged that this time. But you know, never say never. Never say never.
Never say
But
never.
if it comes to choosing cameras or lenses, I think lenses you kind of know if you need a lens or not. Cameras you don't really know. You
No.
just have an itch to upgrade, don't you?
It's a funny thing, right? You know, because yeah, I think you mentioned a key word there. You know, about camera. Camera is more an upgrade. You know, when you think about buying them, usually it's an upgrade for what you have already. And lenses, on the other hand, you know, I don't know about you, but me personally, when it comes to lenses is about the character. It's about, you know, what I can do with that lens. You know, if that lens is unique and it doesn't is not existed in any other systems or brands, and I look at that lens and say, oh, I really like that lens. I really want that lens, and it's not something that I'm upgrading. I'm just wanted to get it because no one else has it. And you know, just like for instance, the at the moment, the Fujifilm 50mm f1 is a unique lens. You know, like if I'm looking at something that's kind of got that really crazy rendering, and got that kind of vintage vibe to it, yet it's got autofocus and all sorts of stuff. It's a very, very unique lens with an f1 aperture, and that lens no one else has it, right? You know, so I'm thinking that okay, if I get that lens, I have to get a Fujifilm body. So in that sense,
Yes.
it just the lens. I'm looking at the lens,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
not the
yeah.
body. But you know, I've used so many different cameras over the years, and for me now, cameras are either it's going to be collecting, or if I'm going to buy to shoot, and that is either going to be an upgrade to the system that I have, because I got all the lenses that I have to shoot with the camera. So it's more of an upgrade, not actually new.
I think a few years back, uh, Sony brought out a 20 to 70 f4 zoom, which is a focal range I find incredibly useful. Now, I
Yeah,
can't remember if that came out at the same time as a camera, but let's say it came out at the same time as the A7 IV.
yeah,
You know, you might think, oh, it's a new A7 IV, I better get that. But actually,
yeah,
this lens would be a much better longer term proposition,
yeah,
because the advantages it offered
yeah,
far outweighed any improvements from getting a new camera. So I
yeah,
mean I think that's an interesting example of how
yeah.
and when to spend money. If you've got enough money, buy both. But I think very often a lens can be a more useful longer term
Well,
purchase.
especially in these day and age, right? A lens itself is costing. It could potentially cost more than the camera itself. You know, if you got a nice
Yeah,
lens,
yeah.
they're £3,000 or $3,000, and you can easily get a body for 2,000, let's say. You know, so the lens itself would cost more than the body. I'm not talking about high end body, of course. They will put 4 or 5 thousand, pound or dollars, but you can get a very, very, very decent camera body for about £2 grand or 2.5 grand. But a decent high end lens, you are really talking about like same price, if not more.
I think your taste in lenses must be more expensive than mine. But yeah, I think I've rarely regretted buying a lens, but I've often bought a camera and thought afterwards,
Yeah.
why did I do that? what's the
Yes.
point? Because
Yes.
it's not been massively better than the one I had before. That was perfectly good at the job. But
Yeah.
lenses do open up new opportunities.
Absolutely. I mean, I got a comment here from Uncle English. I like your username.
Oh, I don't think we've met Uncle English, have we?
No, no. Welcome to. I think I don't recognize your name, so you're very new. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
unless
yeah.
you've been listening and
Welcome, welcome.
not commenting. Right. So lens or camera. I guess I need to upgrade my shooting skills first, and that is a very good point. You know, we kind of talked about it many times, and before you even spend any money, and what people often think is, I know we talk about lens and cameras today, but new cameras may have better features, faster shooting speed, or cleaner ISOs, or whatever, right? And then the lenses may give you sharper results, and there's all that. But if you don't have the shooting skills, none of these things matters. None of these things would get you better pictures. To be quite frank. That if you don't know how to hold your camera properly, even with IBIS, is not going to get you the result that you want. Or learn how to control motion blur, for instance, and you're just not going to be able to create the shot that you like. And equally, shooting faster doesn't mean you can get the shot that you want. You can spray and pray how you like it. Shooting 50, 60 frames per second, but if you don't know how to execute and anticipate the moment, you're still not going to get the shot that you want because you could be spraying everywhere, and then it's just not going to be the one that you want at the end of the day.
I think sometimes as well you can move from camera to camera without fully understanding the one you've got. There's a thing I find with cameras that have IBIS, and that includes Olympus and our own
Yep.
system, is that I use auto ISO a lot in rapidly changing conditions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that will increase the ISO and adjust the shutter speed to avoid camera
Yep.
shake. But
Yeah.
it doesn't take into account the effectiveness of the stabilization. So if I go
Yeah.
indoors into a dark interior, my camera will bump up the ISO to 6400
Yep.
to maintain a shutter speed of a 30th or a 60th of a second. But it's not actually necessary because I could drop the shutter speed, down to an eighth or a quarter, and the shot would still be sharp. So I don't need those high ISOs. So I guess my point here is that sometimes the camera's better than you think it is. You just got to figure out what it's doing and how
Yes.
to make it do it better.
You've got to learn the how to exploit the limit of the camera and the lens.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
of course, yeah, yeah.
And I think once you reach that limit, then you think that you need to go past that limit. Then that's the time when you need to think that, okay, I need to upgrade.
Yeah, you need to be quite clear about what you can't do now that you want to be able to do with the thing you buy.
Yep.
And I think just upgrading for the sake of better quality or more features, it kind of doesn't make sense unless you can see the difference
Yeah.
and you actually need those features. And I think this is an ongoing problem for camera makers, that the rate of change has slowed, and it's
Yeah.
just at the moment they're just adding more and more power, often
Yeah.
in a direction that you don't actually need. So
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about, you just talked about like the development has slowed. We just had a discussion this morning about the brand new Sony A7 IV, and the difference between the A7 V and A7 IV is not significant, isn't it? And even though it's got quite a number of years apart between them.
I think yeah. So the A7 IV is what, 2021, I
Yeah.
think, and what's new in the A7 V makes sense if you need a very fast electronic shutter,
Yeah.
and if you need high frame rates for video, and if you need even better AF tracking and subject recognition. These are all small changes in a very
Yep.
specific direction.
Yep.
If you're a landscape photographer, it's really got nothing
Yep.
that you
Yep.
need.
Yep.
The A7 IV already does it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think if I had an A7 IV and I was of a frame of mind where I had the latest and best all the time, I'd probably upgrade. But I'd be upgrading for features that I wouldn't really use.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of the A7 V, there's one standout feature that they highlighted for this particular camera is blackout free. EVF. So, because of the partial stack sensor, you're able to do that. There's likewise in the OM1 Mark II, because it's got stack sensor, and the Fujifilm X-H2S has a stack sensor, and all of this camera has blackout-free shooting, and also the global sensor Sony as well.
Very important thing for burst shooting.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think I've recently found out, because I got the X-H2S and the OM Mark II, and I actually disabled the blackout free, and for very important reasons. Because when I do portrait, because I don't need to shoot like high burst rates, and then and in that case, I actually want to know what I capture, what kind of frame that I capture. I want to see that black, the sudden blackness of that frame, so I know that I have captured that shot in that moment.
Yes.
I don't know.
So you don't like silent shutters?
No. I don't know. It makes me. I feel insecure if I do that. I just don't know if I captured the shot or not, and I just go back to it and review the images to see if I actually captured the shot or not.
It is. Do you remember when the EM1 Mark II came out, and you had that pro capture mode?
Yeah.
I found that very disconcerting when that first appeared, because you can't see or hear anything. You just have to assume it's a tiny little blinking icon in the corner of the viewfinder. But other than that, you don't even know if it's worked.
Yeah.
And if you check it in playback. But it's I like to hear a shutter, yes. But
yes.
then
I like to hear it and also feel it as well. It's maybe I'm too old school about that. You know what? Because when I feel the shutter, I know I have done the shot, and because it's instinctive as well. As a photographer, when you hold the camera up to your eye, when you're taking portrait, you're trying to capture that moment when he or she turning to the camera, or the kids or whatever, and when you feel that shutter, you know that I have nailed that moment when looking through the viewfinder, and it's that instantaneous feeling that I got that then will make me feel that, okay, I am in control and I've done the shot that I wanted, rather than there's nothing going on, total silence, is shake free, vibration free, and I don't even know whether I actually did it or not.
It's important to have that sound, isn't it? To give you, it's like an indication of the moment the exposure's been made. The timing is quite important too. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say this about DSLRs, that for all their faults, they're a very physical thing.
Yeah,
you know when you've taken a picture.
It's reassuring, right? Every time you hear the slap, it's reassuring. It's like, oh, I've done it.
I've heard some people say as well that when they've shot professional models, the models like to hear it too. Because obviously they're just adjusting their expression, their angle, their faces, their pose to time with the camera.
Yeah.
And they need to know when the shots are being taken.
Absolutely.
For their own, to do their job. So it's an interesting point.
It is. I mean, and especially doing outdoor shoot without any strobes. But strobe is easy. When one flash, you know it's the next shot. Then you can just keep posing after every flash. But sometimes when you're outdoor without the strobes or anything like that, there's no indication. So the model does need to hear the sound from the shutter.
Yeah.
Then she knows when to change pose. So it is important. It's very important.
It's interesting. I think electronic shutters are good. I'm not a massive fan of electronic shutter sounds.
Yeah.
But the main thing is they should arrive at exactly the right time. So you should get the sound as the exposure is being made. I've just finished reviewing a cheap little Kodak digital point and shoot.
Oh, yeah.
And its electronics are really quite feeble. But the worst of it is, you take a picture and it takes it about half a second to process it, and you only get the shutter sound after that half second or so. So there's such a delay between taking a picture and hearing any kind of sound. It's awful, and I haven't really used any mirrorless cameras quite as bad as that. But I'm not a big fan of electronic shutters in that respect.
Yeah. I mean, as long as I can hear something or feel something, and I think I'm happy. Antonio got an interesting thing here. I mean, hi all. I like the Canon AF and small cheap primes, and I like Nikon ergonomic and 12-120 f4. and the Tamron 2.8 zooms and Panasonic menu, blah blah blah. Is that a problem? No. Well, we talked about last week, right? Like no switching system. We're just adding to it. If you need them, if you like them, go ahead and buy them. And I think that the thing is, it's no harm getting different system for different purposes. That's how I look at it. And I now use, I think, 3 very distinct systems now. I've got the Micro Four Third, and I got the Nikon, and I got the Fuji. They all serve their purpose to what I need to do, like filming, portraits, street photography, and travel. All very different genre of photography, and each time I go for a specific photography job or things that I want to do, I will pick up the right camera for that particular job. So, in the past, I always confined to one system, thinking that one system would serve me well. But I think these day and age now, we can clearly see. For instance, Micro Four Third is very good at a couple of things: macro, travel, and wildlife. They are very, very good at that. Not so good with portrait these days, I have to admit. Because I've mentioned about the human and eye detection is not as good as others, but other things are good. Other things are good, but just not so much about the human stuff. But human stuff, on the other hand, Fuji and Nikon, Canon, all of these are brilliant. They spend a lot of time making sure that they nail the eyes and every single time. And that's why I tried out other system and found out, okay, they're a little bit better. So might as well get it to for my jobs.
It does make your buying decisions a whole lot easier if you can kind of pigeonhole what each system is good for.
Yeah.
So like my Canon gear is very good for like workaday stuff like video, for product shots, for anything where I'm taking pictures of to illustrate things that I'm doing, or projects or what have you. The Sony stuff I quite like for travel and landscapes because it's decent quality, and I'm used to it. But I think the OM stuff is still my pick for travel.
Oh yeah,
and,
that definitely.
And just for sticking in your pocket, just have a little walk around.
I mean, those 1.8 primes is so valuable when it comes to travel. It's so small, and it's so easy to carry around with you without overloading your shoulder, your back. You can use that space and capacity to do other things or carry other things, and so to make your whole travel journeys a lot better. And essentially, still capturing the same shots, to be quite honest. And
I think, and as well, in some ways, using a prime when you're used to a zoom, it's a real pain because you have to get in the right place, in the right position, and it's quite hard work. But annoyingly, when I have done that, I've found I've come away with better pictures. So
because of the restrictive thinking, right?
I know it sounds perverse, doesn't it? Surely your pictures would be better if they're easier to take, but it doesn't seem to work that way for me. If I have to think more, I tend to do a better job.
Well, funny enough, Chuck just left a comment about the weather. We need a Weather Seal 45.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. But my friend literally texted me this morning, and he bought something from Black Friday in the UK. Amazon was selling the 45 1.8 for £100. £100 brand new, and he bought it. And I didn't even know that deal existed, until he messaged me.
No.
I said, oh my goodness, you got it for £100, brand new. And he showed me the picture. This case arrived this morning, and they said, oh wow, you score well then.
I think the only weaknesses that lens has are it gets a bit soft if you get very close to your subject, and you do get a little purple fringing wide open.
Yep.
But these are two very specific cases. It's a ridiculously good lens. Other than that, for the money and for the size. So and there's no equivalent in another
the size.
system.
The size is just ridiculous. For portrait lens with 1.8 aperture, that is tiny, that thing, and I really like that lens a lot.
Yeah, I do. But if we are talking about lenses, probably the only reason I use Sony gear is because of 2 Tamron lenses. How weird is that?
Yeah.
But the Tamron, there's a Tamron 28-200, which is quite exceptional as a consumer super zoom lens because it's actually sharp at 200 millimeters. Who knew? And there's a 20 to 40 f2.8,
Yeah.
which is a
Yeah.
really useful focal range for me, and a constant f2.8 aperture.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it wasn't for those two lenses, I probably wouldn't shoot with the Sony. So
Yeah.
that all started with the lenses, not the system, not the
And
camera.
and also, like if those are considering buying lenses or upgrading lenses, don't discount third parties, and because
No, not at all. No.
so many people. I mean, recently I saw someone, Camera Conspiracy. He's talking about one of Series brand new 35 1.4 prime lens. He basically wasn't happy about it. Mainly not because of the performance, it's because of the price. He said the price is too close, if not about the same as the Nikkor 3514. But don't forget that the Nikkor 3514 is not the S line, so it's actually a cheaper range in the Nikon catalog. So it's the lowest range basically. The S line is the one with the superior optics and coatings and weather seals and anything like that. Or everything that's non-S is not weather sealed. It's got plastic body. The optical formula is more old school than modern. So like, on the other hand, Zero is actually modern. It's got a metal body. It's got weather sealings and everything like that. So for the same price, you're actually getting an upgrade. But he was talking. I think he's talking from more like from a perhaps a brand loyalty point of view.
Yeah, I think people put a lot of store by brand names, and they have an expectation that things at certain prices or from certain brands aren't going to be as good, and this is changing all the time. And you can't make those assumptions now. For example, Sony's G Master lenses, I don't think, are very far ahead of their regular consumer lenses now. The regular G lenses are now so good. I'm not sure I'd go and seek out a G Master.
Yep.
Because they are more expensive. Canon, I'm not so sure. I've never had so much money I could buy a Canon L lens. So that's one experiment I've yet to carry out.
Yeah, I mean, but back in the EF days, the DSLR days, the L lenses were better than the consumer level lenses, and not by much, but it's noticeable. And they usually have faster aperture, right? They usually have faster apertures. Yeah.
I think in DSLR days, consumer lenses could be pretty rough. To be fair,
I like the word rough.
I think at least these days, most mirrorless lenses, even consumer ones, are pretty good.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
they are.
Yes, some of the old Canon and Nikon DSLR lenses, variable. Yeah. Is that the kindest way to put it?
I know, especially those who use Micro Four Thirds, and you guys have been talking about those Sigma prime lenses for Micro Four Third. I mean, I think they only make those Micro Four Third lenses. They're brilliant. I haven't personally actually tried them, to be quite honest. I may actually try to ask Sigma to send me a couple of those to try out, since you guys have been raving about them. So it's interesting. But anyway, the point is, I think third party lens makers are actually pretty good these days. Tamron, Sigma, Viltrox, for instance, all these companies are producing really great value for money lenses. To be quite honest, in some cases they are surpassing some of the native lenses from branded names. I tried a few, for instance, Sigma's lenses that I tried recently for Fujifilm cameras. I actually find their zoom lenses are better than Fuji's own zoom lenses. And so far, not so much about the prime lenses, but the zoom lenses are pretty good. And in fact, I personally think they're sharper in a lot of cases compared to the native Fujifilm lenses. Then the Tamron 35 to 150 f2 to 2.8. That's a unique lens that nobody else makes. And despite being a heavy beast, but it's a great lens. It's a really great lens. And for the price, you're getting almost like 5 different lenses altogether. So if you don't want to carry all these full frame lenses, get one of these stuff.
Which probably weighs about as much as those 3 lenses put together anyway. But
you don't have to. But you don't have to change. But you don't have to change lenses. You don't have to change lenses.
That's true. That's true. But would you ever be tempted by that Fujifilm 50mm f1? Because I think if I was shooting portraits and if I felt that Fujifilm's color was better than other people's, I mean, it's a moot point. if I would buy that lens, then think, well, it doesn't matter really which camera I get to go
Yeah.
with it, because any
Yeah.
of them would do a good job. It's the lens. It's the lens that's
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
unique
I
thing.
I would say that the Fujifilm at 50f1 will be my dream lens for Fujifilm's catalog. I don't want to. I mean, I won't buy it now because it's not my working lens. Even though I shoot
Yeah,
portrait, I'll give you the reasons why. Because the 50f1 is extremely slow in terms of autofocus. So,
yeah, yeah.
so it's not a performing lens in speed. So, for any subject that is stationary, fine, I don't mind. But the thing is, my day-to-day job is capturing families. Most often involving young kids running around. So I need something that can keep up with that
Yeah, yeah,
movement, and the 50f1 will not do that.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
I can understand that for sure. Yeah.
yeah. So I ended up using actually the Viltrox 5612, and it's brilliant. That thing is really fast. In fact, I think that Viltrox 5612 is better than Fujifilm's 5612. And
Have you tried the Fujifilm one? I haven't tried it myself. I don't
yeah,
think.
I have tried it. I borrowed it before, and it's good.
Mm.
It's good, but I think the Viltrox beats it by speed, and then it's actually quite a
Really?
speedy lens. It's quite a speedy lens. So and anything is faster and cheaper works for me.
Well, yeah. I think these days you have to start looking at third-party lens makers to get
Yeah,
the best lenses. It's not just about saving money; it's getting the best optics, and very often it's a
yeah,
third-party maker that's got them.
yeah,
I in with Fujifilm, I don't think Fujifilm has a lens to match the Sigma 10 to 18 f2.8. If you
yeah.
need an ultra wide zoom,
Yep.
it's not very expensive. Well, it's expensive, but not like it's cheaper, I think, than the Fujifilm um, 10 to 24.
Yeah,
But it's content f2.8, and
yeah.
it is a better lens, and it's smaller.
And to
So
be quite to be quite
don't ignore
frank,
third party. Yeah,
yeah, and you have to look at the whole lens development as well. If you look at Fujifilm's catalog, a lot of the lenses are actually pretty old. Like apart,
yeah,
the only new ones are the one with linear motor, and you only talk about a handful of them, and the rest of them are like, I don't know, 12 years old, 10 years old. That it's not matching the stuff that they have right now in terms of cameras. The cameras got really high speed,
that's
autofocusing and
right.
everything like that. But none of the lenses can keep up, especially now they got 40 megapixel sensors, and a lot of these are just not capable of resolving the details.
Well, their limitations become a bit too obvious, don't they? But
Yeah.
so we're talking about should you buy a lens, not a camera?
Yep.
Do you think there are some makers who are too heavily focused on cameras and they're not paying proper attention to lenses?
Yes. Yes.
Would you say Fujifilm might be one of those?
Fujifilm definitely one of them, and well, I have to say it. I think Panasonic as well in the Micro Four Third side. Like I know the whole Micro Four Third development within Panasonic is almost non-existent now. But the thing is, if you
Yeah,
look at the whole developments, they release more bodies than lenses in the past 5 years.
yeah.
So they literally focusing on the bodies, either changing the spec, bumping the spec, or whatever you want to say about it. They just focusing on the bodies, but not so much about the lenses. And a lot of the Micro Four Third Lumix lenses are very, very old.
You can tell that just from the autofocus actuators. They're just a bit too slow and noisy for the modern world. Well, when I say for the modern world, I mean they stand out compared to newer lenses
Yeah,
because they are quite slow
yeah.
to focus.
I
It's disappointing.
It is. I mean, and if you look at like if for all those Micro Four Third users out there, especially in the Lumix camera, you want to take advantage of the Sync IS or anything like that, they haven't
Mm,
developed any of those stuff for years. The last five
mm,
years, I mean, from what I can remember, the only lens they ever produced was the 9 millimeters 1.7 prime, and then
yeah, yeah.
I can't see any other lenses from there. I mean, there may be a couple of consumer lenses here and there, but the major developments is only kind of just one. And OM system, even though as slow as they are, they actually got about four lenses came out since COVID, and even though they may not be a lens for everybody, but they have big zoom lenses, the two white lenses now. They got refreshed the 1.8 primes, two of them, the 17 and 25. They got a bunch of stuff came out, and I can't say the same about Lumix for this moment in time. I think their focus are really on the full frame side, but even then, they have produced more Micro Four Thirds bodies than lenses.
Well, I think we just have to assume that Panasonic is not really interested in Micro Four Thirds anymore. They'll keep selling the gear as long as people keep buying it, but they're not going to develop it. And some of those lenses, as you say, are quite old and patchy. If it's any consolation, I think it's good that they relaunched the G97.
Yep.
So it was the G90, now the G97, which is really pretty cheap. And
Yep.
the kit lens is the 12-60
Yep.
variable aperture S3.5 to 5.6. But that is a good lens. That's a properly good lens. I know the Panasonic Leica one is a bit better, but there's not that much in it.
Yeah, yeah. And strange enough, as well, there were a couple of lenses I like from Lumix as well, and like the 1.7 zoom lenses, the heavy beast, which is very expensive, about 1,800 pound in the UK. So they're not cheap lenses, but I would like to get my hands on the. I would like to get my hands on both of them. They only ever produce two, but it's very handy for filmmakers, which what they were made for, supposedly.
They are big lenses. Do they have tripod feet?
No. So you need a big body. You need a big body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I hope they would. They're quite heavy lenses, aren't they?
They are pretty heavy. Yeah, I think they're both over kilo weight. So it's quite big.
That's a lot of stress on the camera mount if your camera's the only mounting point.
Yes. Well, obviously they must have looked at it, make sure that the mount can sustain that kind of load.
You're not going to put them on a gimbal, are you?
Yeah. But it's interesting lenses. But and the funny thing is, if you look online now, a lot of the places don't even stock them now, or they even sold out. So it gives me the impression that they're not even making them. So even though officially they haven't said that it's discontinued, but they must slow the production of these lenses so much so that you only get, I don't know, 5 lenses a year or something like that.
Yeah, and I think those particular lenses, as you say, they have gone. So I think we've had all we're going to get for Lumix G gear, sadly.
Yeah.
And it's all on Lumix S now. But I find that whole Lumix S range quite confusing as well, because there seems to me a lot of overlap. I mean, the S9 and the S5 models are different. No EVF. But the S9 seems slightly more advanced. But I'm particularly confused by the crossover between the S5 2X and the S1 II, because both of them are kind of serious hybrid mirrorless cameras. So if somebody asked me, I want to shoot video, which one should I get? I wouldn't know. I think I suspect the S1 Mark II is better, but too much overlap. It's like Sony, isn't it?
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm not sure outside the Lumix G range, is there anything in the Lumix S lineup? Are there any Lumix S lenses that would really make you buy into that system? I'm struggling to think of one at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, they have lenses that tick all the boxes, but there's nothing that makes you think, I've got to have that.
If you look at the whole L mount alliance, the whole L mount thing, including Leicas and Sigma, there isn't really a whole lot of lenses that you think that is spectacular or unique in some ways.
Nothing to make you buy that system.
Yeah, I mean, Leica may have the name, so it's Leica, right? And you may want to get a Leica lens, and use it on a cheaper body, because that's Leica is paying 2 times the price for the badge essentially, and but apart from that, I can't see the appeal going for the L mounts, and at least for me anyway, personally, I'm not saying, they're all great cameras, but for me personally, I would rather go for either Canon or Nikon, if I'm going full frame.
Well, and as well, I suppose you've got the Sigma FP and FPL, but but those are weird little cameras because
Or the BF or the BF, right?
of the BF, yeah,
Yes,
because the
BF.
readout speed just isn't up to like professional video standards,
No.
particularly the FP and the FPL.
Yep.
They were old cameras, so again, it's hard to know what's in the Lumix, not in the Lumix, what's in the L mount setup that would make you go into it. I mean, you've got Leica, so you've got the Leica SL series.
Yep.
That might tempt you. And they are more expensive, but they're not outrageously expensive. They're not like Leica M rangefinders. They're expensive mirrorless cameras, but they're kind of on the same spectrum as regular cameras. They're just a little bit more.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it's interesting.
the SL is actually, especially not looking at the high resolution ones, the slightly cheaper SL is actually pretty good cameras if you look at the specs.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is quite nice to use as well. The Leica interface. I mean, it won't suit everyone. I think it's just marvelous.
Oh, guys,
it's a thing of
my
beauty.
parcel has arrived. Let me go and
Oh,
collect my
oh.
parcel. Keep going, keep going.
So yeah, so Jimmy was telling me he's ordered a couple of things, and I kind of waiting to find out what they are. But he sounded quite excited earlier on today. But myself, I've got nothing. It's been a very bleak few weeks. No purchases, no acquisitions. I've kept myself thoroughly reined in. And the only thing I bought is my little analog film digitizing kit, which was quite useful, and a film, Fomapan. I think it's Czechoslovakian or somewhere in that region. So I showed Jimmy that, and he pulled a face. So I don't know what that's going to be like, but I am having a bit of an analog phase at the moment. Ever since testing the Kodak half frame point and shoot camera, so I'm going back to redigitize some of my old black and white negatives, and rather than using a scanner, I'm using my camera to do it. And I found the results are surprisingly good. The negatives were better than I thought they were, but the way I'm doing it, I've cooked up this really kind of low-tech system where I just use a backlit translucent light source. I put the negatives straight on the light source, then I photograph them after getting all the angles perfectly perpendicular. And that tends to give me the best results. I used to use a scanner, but that's quite slow and that's quite hard work. And unless you've got a proper film scanner, then the results really aren't quite there. Was it what you hoped, Jimmy, or was it something somebody else in the house ordered and very disappointing?
Right,
was it what
my
you
Black
hoped?
my Black Friday guilt has arrived.
Okay. Oh my word.
Oh dear, oh dear. Right, people may be very excited to hear. I mean, unless you're into this sort of thing, but I have made a very big purchase yesterday. The product itself, I'm going to show you in a minute. Hopefully, I'm going to open it, and it's a brand new drone that's being announced today, and I got it today. So yeah, exciting. Let's do open box then.
Oh, you're not going to do a live unboxing, are you? I thought we'd
Live
stopped all those.
unboxing. I know. It's out of fashion now, right? But that's the.
Yeah.
And let me just
Haven't
at
you
least
got-
show you guys what it is, right? Ooh. Let's see. Oh, it is. I thought it was something
Is
else. Yes. All right. Okay. That's interesting. Ooh, fresh. Still all in wrapping. If I can get it out. Ooh. Right. I don't know how many drone users here. How many people like to fly drones? And then
Well,
I like to
I've
fly
got
my
a drone.
drones.
My drone flying skills are pretty poor. So
Right.
if ever you see me out flying a drone, run for cover. That'd be my advice, because it could just fall from the sky at any moment.
Right. Okay. There you go then. Ah. That's it.
Excellent.
Yes, I got it right here. And
Well
the
done.
very
Well done.
first 360 drone in the world, and I can't wait to fly this thing to see how it throw up with motion sickness.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I do get vertigo flying a drone.
Yeah,
I do tend to get vertigo in high places. So, but I thought it's a drone. It wouldn't bother me. It does, and I think what part of it is you're looking up, and if you're on the top of a cliff or something, that's not a very comfortable feeling.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I
It,
still
it's
get
it's
vertigo flying a drone.
Yeah, Robert Mills says that FPV is not actually FPV 360. Well, it's kind of FPV, but then but you are. It's weird, because it's a 360 drone. When you put the goggles on, when you fly, unlike traditional drones, because the camera is fixed to one angle, so wherever the drone is pointing at, you're looking at that angle. So even if you're wearing a goggle, you turn left and right, you're still seeing the same direction. There's no change in it. The 360 drone, however, in particular this model, and if you turn your head, you are actually looking around, left, right, and center, top and bottom. You can swing around and look around you 360 when the
Correct
drone
me.
is still flying.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jimmy, as well. But the overlap of the lenses is done in
Yep,
such a way that the drone itself is invisible. You
yep.
can't see the drone.
It's exactly the same way they did it with the 360 camera. So it erases the selfie stick. It's the same algorithm. So it erases the drone
Yeah,
altogether, so you can't see it. So when you wear the goggle, you are literally like flying in the air.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That that would be quite difficult to fly though,
it
because if
it,
you're
it
looking
is.
backwards and flying forwards, that's quite disorientating.
Well, what I heard that on the motion control, there's one button. When you press that button, it will basically turn the vision straight back to the actual
Good,
the
good.
direction that the drone the drone is pointing at, so you
Because
don't
that's
disorient yourself.
that is one of the confusing things about flying drones. Anyway, the fact that you can be
Yeah,
looking in a direction other than the one you're traveling in.
yeah,
So you get that even with a regular drone anyway, don't you? But probably
yeah.
not so much. So with a regular drone, the camera just goes up and down, doesn't it?
Yep,
Tilts.
yep.
Yeah, it's
It
not a
does.
full gimbal.
So
Well,
so
good luck with that.
Yeah, I want to try this, and for a couple of reasons. But first, because it's the first ever 360 drones, and I personally like 360 camera a lot, and because I can see the potentials and possibilities that gives you. It's a lot more work than traditional drones. Static drones and speed like basically a
Yeah,
flying camera. It's very easy to control and very easy to manipulate and to edit. For 360, it's a whole new ball game because you have to input the 360 footage into your program, then you recompose, zoom, redo that and this and that. You're adding a lot of layers on top of it when it comes to editing, and you're not getting true 4K as well. Don't forget that even though this is an 8K
no,
sensor,
no.
I mean, like when I say 8K, it's 4K on either side. So, but it's a fisheye. So once you crop it in, defish it, you are literally getting a maybe 2.7, 3K kind of footage. You're not really getting even 4K quality.
The way I explain it is to say that when 360 camera makers say you've got 8K video, you've
Yep,
got to imagine that 8K spread over the inside of a sphere,
yep,
because that's what the
yep.
camera is seeing. So 8K spread over the inside of the sphere. The minute you start using a window to look at one particular part of that sphere, the
Yeah,
resolution is suddenly much lower.
it
It
is.
can't. It goes for the territory. You can't do anything
It
about that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say the 360 camera has gone a long way since. The latest
Yeah, yeah,
Insta360 X5 and the DJI 360s are both pretty good. They're both 8K 360, but like I said, when you defish it and use it normally, and it reduces the resolution quite significantly. But
yeah,
they have done it in a way to sharpen the images that looks pretty decent, at least on a normal
yeah.
computer screen, and so it's usable.
Could you put that footage in a 4K
Yes.
video
Yeah.
timeline, and would it look all right?
Yeah. It will look all
Yeah,
right.
okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you're upscaling it a little bit. I
Yes.
think people make allowances anyway when you got that kind of footage.
Yeah. I mean, let's look at it that way. This type of drone or 360 camera in general, they're not going to be excuse me, for high-end professional filming. And they are perfectly fine for social media, perfectly fine for YouTubers, because 90% of people consume these sort of videos and content through the screen, and a lot of them don't even get 4K. So in that case, when you're looking, all this footage that's coming up from these type of cameras are perfectly fine. So they don't need anything higher resolutions than that. Because to trying to get a proper 4K footage from 360 cameras like that, you are probably talking about at least 10, 12K overall sphere resolutions to get that kind of resolutions.
So I think the individual cameras, am I wrong? Are they around combined 20 megapixels, something like that? I would imagine a real bottleneck is just processing 360 video at that kind of resolution in real time. It's just not practical.
Well, I think it's at the moment, I don't think there are any hardware, or they may exist, but at the moment it's not feasible to fit all of that into a device.
No.
A simple example is DJI, the Osmo 360 cameras overheats a lot. And you can see, they're really pushing the envelope in there. Trying to capture everything in 8K resolution even this is a fear. In such a small body, is hard. And imagine,
all that heat.
That heat, the processing power. That's why you don't get a lot of battery from these cameras, simply because it really consumes a lot of energy trying to capture these stuff. So to increase it in the future, that means you need a next generation technology to be able to upscale, to up the resolutions or any kind of specs.
What you need is some ducting to take the wash from the propellers and run it over the chip to cool it down.
Well, perhaps the drone is actually pretty all right because you're flying in the air. It naturally is actually cooler up there anyway. Yeah.
But I mean, it makes you think that if companies like Canon or Nikon or Sony come under scrutiny for their mirrorless cameras overheating when shooting 8K, you've got to admire companies like DJI and Insta360 putting 8K processing into a device that small and not having it catch fire, basically, because the amount of heat generated must be huge. Battery life as well. They've got to balance battery life and flying time against the processing power. So that's another complication.
You have got to give it to a lot of these companies, and how much in terms of technological envelope they have pushed. And on the other hand, like you said, I think a lot of the camera makers, despite their resources, how big they are as a company, you don't seem to see the same effort going into it. When someone else is a much smaller companies manage to do it, and I can't see why the big companies can't do it.
I guess a lot of the time though they're working with established production lines, patterns, chip providers, and so on. It's probably not as easy as we imagine it is, but it would be nice to see a bit more innovation. But then, how many people? I think there's a difference, isn't there? 8K 360 makes sense because you need all the resolution you can get.
Yeah.
But 8K video, 8K kind of flat video in a regular camera, I don't know how many people are going to use that. I think cameras that have open gate 6K kind of makes sense because it gives you a bit more latitude. But even then, you're only going to use a window, a 4K window, aren't you? You're just going to use open gate to give you a bit more cropping leeway. Nobody's sharing 6K videos, so. Interesting.
It is interesting.
That looks a bit of fun anyway.
Yeah, I'll be reporting as soon as I start trying it out, and you might see me calling it sick next week.
I was just seeing this side towards screen commenting about the size of 8K footage. I can't vouch for that, but I did go through a phase of shooting 4K 60 on my Canon. Just to give me the opportunity of doing some slow motion for some product demonstrations or tutorials. And those files are big. You shoot for a couple of minutes and you think that won't be anything. And then you see the size of the files copying across your computer and you think, oh, wish I hadn't done that. Wish I'd shot that 1080 or something.
Well, essentially, you're doubling the frames. So, you're getting more pictures in that file. So, it's actually big. Yes.
and if you go for the high quality, you think, if you go for H.264, for example, or ProRes, with the idea that you want to get the maximum quality, the file size is just balloon. They go practically out of control. And if
Oh
you
yeah, yeah.
ever intend shooting raw, then you're going to have to get an external recorder.
I mean,
There's no way you're going to be able to archive all your raw footage. It's just
no, no.
insane.
Yeah, you definitely can't archive them. And I mean, like, I was testing the Apple ProRes on the iPhone, the iPhone 17 Pro, yesterday, and I got a
Yeah,
one external 1 terabyte SSD stuck onto it, and it shows me how much time I can record. Yeah, from that one
yeah,
terabyte.
yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it about 25 minutes from that 1 terabyte.
I know, I know.
It's
That's why
ridiculous, right?
that's why I've just that's why I've just not shot with ProRes or, and I think, or ProRes on the phone. I think as well, this is one of those situations where you have to be very clear about how much is good enough, because even
Well,
a regular
it,
iPhone video is quite
yeah,
good. Do
yeah.
you
I
really
mean,
need to shoot ProRes?
it goes back to the discussion we had for today. Yeah, when the new camera comes out that can tell you that, oh, we can do 4K 100, we can do 8K, we can do 7K open gate. All of this
Yeah.
sounds very, very tempting and very good. But when it comes to, do you need it? First of all, do I ever shoot 8K? Do I really need all that file size that potentially I have to upgrade the rest of my computing system to cope with that? And the storage behind it, you have to buy new memory cards because your existing 256 is not big enough now. You probably need a 1 terabyte card to start to do something reasonable. So
I
all of
think
that
that
included as well. Yeah,
the storage is the thing, isn't it, with video? I mean, it's
yeah,
bad enough with 4K at any kind of quality.
yep.
You need a huge amount of storage, and storage isn't getting any cheaper.
No, no,
Um,
it's pretty big as well, right? And all these big storage that's coming out. It's getting cheaper, but it's still very expensive. If you're looking at something bigger than, let's say, 512 gig, it's still a very a large sum of money you have to invest in terms of all these new cards. And but like I always say, people don't always say, oh, buying cameras is easy, right? And uh, but not many people actually talk about the back end, and still like new computers, new RAID drives, or new online storage, new backups, new
well,
this and
that's
new
the
that.
thing.
Those
That's
are
the thing.
extremely expensive too.
I don't shoot a whole load of stuff for YouTube, but I have gone through phases of doing like a tutorial a week,
Yep,
and you automatically keep your raw footage.
yep,
And I thought, why's my SSD running out of space? And my iMovie, because I use iMovie quite a lot for basic stuff,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
iMovie
yeah, yeah.
stores all your raw footage in its
Yep,
own
yep.
catalog, and it's like 0.6, 0.7 of a terabyte. And it's just a slow accumulation of lots of little jobs. Didn't seem much at the time, but this is
Yeah,
how much
yeah.
space video
And
takes up.
and also, like
Because I
even
do a lot
photog
of screen captures in QuickTime.
yeah, and even photographer, not just videographer, but even
No, sorry,
photographers.
go on.
Yeah, it's a similar thing as well. If you imagine you're upgrading resolution, for instance, jumping from 20 to 40, you may not realize it, but the raw files are getting double as well. And then like everything slows down because of if you're so used to the current speed that your computer is doing it for you. Once you increase the resolution, once the file size get bigger, everything when you punch in to do 100% pixel peeping, when you edit, especially AI stuff, you do AI noise reductions and this and that, they would take double the time. Soon, if you do batch processing, you realize that it used to take like 5 minutes, but now you take 10 minutes. And everything adds up. When you start looking at that, everything becomes slower and slower, and you think, oh, maybe my computer needs an upgrade now, and it's just not fast enough to do this sort of stuff.
I think
It
you
comes with
you
it.
can you can upgrade for speed because that's constantly evolving with computers, but storage
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
long term issue because
It
it's not really getting any cheaper. And if you are shooting a lot of video, regular hard disk storage just isn't quick enough. It's okay
no.
for archiving, but
Yeah,
it's no good for editing because you really need an SSD, and SSDs don't have the capacity of hard drives at
no.
that kind of size, and they're fiendishly expensive. I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked at getting an SSD RAID system, Jimmy. I've looked a couple of times, and it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
terrifying.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just,
yeah.
you don't get massive
I,
capacity, but it costs an absolute fortune.
I've got RAID drives, but I don't use SSD. But like you said, because
No,
like I, mean,
no.
I let's say let's put into perspective, right? For £400, or let's say yeah, £400, you can get about an 8 terabyte 2.5-inch SSD, not the fastest one, not the
Yeah,
NVMe
yeah.
SSD. Those are even more expensive. And for £400, I could get 24 terabyte hard drive, not 4 terabyte, but
Yeah,
24 terabyte hard drive.
yeah,
And you can see the cost of it. I can have a RAID, literally hundreds of terabytes. And if I go for SSD, I can only get about what 24, 32
yeah.
terabyte.
And
It's
that
massive
really
difference.
doesn't go very far. No,
No,
no.
no. If
Especially if you're
it's
going to be storing a lot of 8K 360, Jimmy.
You know what? Those 8K file footage are huge as well. If you look at the Insta360 8K files, they are massive files.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
So
this
yeah,
is yeah.
be
Sorry,
careful what you wish for.
absolutely. And speaking of that as well, and it's an interesting thing that I recently realized because my current computer needs an upgrade. Not because of the processing power, but also because of the SSD, the internal storage that I have. I would say for the past 10 years, I have had my computer with 1 terabyte storage configuration. It was way more than enough for what I needed to install all the applications, some local storage, and this and that. But I recently discovered that if you install a lot of the AI stuff from Topaz, from Photolab, from literally anybody, you will find the applications, all the all the subsequent files or anything that you need to run the AI stuff is massive. The Topaz is ridiculously big
Yeah,
now. I have the whole suite, and
those AI models are big, aren't they? Yeah, yeah.
they are taking up like literally 25 gig just on those softwares. And all of a sudden, my 1 terabyte is not enough. It's now running to red now at the moment, and I can't upgrade because I got a MacBook Pro, so I can't upgrade the internal memory myself. I'm kind of
live
stuck.
my life on I live my life with external drives, Jimmy. So
Yeah,
how many drives do you have connected to your computer?
I have
Currently,
one. Yeah, go
I
on.
have four at the moment.
I
I've four at the moment, so
I
I
have
need to invest in more SSDs. I think.
I have possibly 20 different hard drives on my table at the moment,
Oh,
and one big massive RAID next to it. It's got about
yeah,
60 terabytes, and all the other like 4 or 5 terabyte external hard drives.
yeah, yeah.
They're fairly old, to be quite honest. I probably want to
Oh,
consolidate them, and
yeah,
yeah, and I need to put it all into the RAIDs, and I can clean them all out because they
yeah,
take up all the space at the moment.
yeah.
But it's a problem. It's a problem that not many people realize is slowly creeping into everybody's life, especially those who use AI. Not so much about generations, but all the AI enhancements like noise reductions, the AI upscaling, and all the other stuff. And they all get it. They are getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, I'm puzzled at the moment by Adobe's AI noise reduction in Lightroom
Yep,
because in the past it used to have to create a new DNG file,
yep.
which was somewhere between 2 and 4 times the size of the original RAW file.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Now it
yeah.
doesn't do that anymore.
No.
So I'm wondering if it's doing it anywhere but hiding it somewhere, and I won't
Well,
find out till much later.
it, interesting you mentioned that because like I know I like DxO Pure Raw. Let me know
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
use DxO Pure Raw because I think it's fantastic product. It really is great product. With one big downside is that it duplicate the freaking files, and they make
yeah.
it bigger, make it a bigger DNG
Big.
file. So like, let's say if you got a 20 megabyte raw file, and then you chuck it to DxO Pure Raw to clean up all the noise, and it will spit out a DNG file, which is like 30 megabyte. So it's more than the
It,
original file.
it's actually considerably more than that. I reckon it's generally around 3 to 4 times. So if your original RAW file is say 30
Yep.
megabytes. That's wrong, isn't it? No, that could be right. Then you're likely to get a 100 megabyte DNG, which it's all right if you do it now and again.
Yep.
But if you want to do it with every shot you take, then that's out of control almost straight away. But
Yeah.
it's one of the hidden issues with doing any kind of non-destructive editing in Photoshop as well, because the minute you take an image into Photoshop, suddenly you haven't got a raw file anymore. You've got this big fat TIFF or a TIFF equivalent, and
Yeah.
you start adding layers and smart filters, and they get to a ridiculous size. Before
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
it, you're
yeah,
looking at 200 or 300 megabytes,
Yep.
which is
Yep.
quite serious. I mean, it's all right now and again for one or two images, but
Yeah,
not as a
yeah.
routine.
No, it's definitely something, and that is because of that. At the moment, I use the Lightroom AI noise reduction
Yeah,
more,
yeah.
only because
I
it doesn't increase the size, and it's
I don't
non-destructive.
I don't trust it. I reckon it's hiding a DNG file somewhere in your catalog and not telling you. I don't know how it's doing it otherwise.
Maybe,
so
maybe,
your original
maybe.
file, your original file's no bigger, but this is
Yeah.
giant DNG file hidden somewhere in
In
your
in a
catalog
hidden
file.
folder somewhere.
Yeah, like a sneaky cache folder or something like that. Who knows? Who knows?
But yeah, but that's something to bear that in mind. I think for those who are starting to get into these all the AI improvements, enhancement softwares, because
Yeah,
they are big, and they're not only big themselves. The files that they create are also big, and all of that contribute to more resources that you need to pump into, more investment from your side to buy the external storage and this and that. It can add up.
the one thing I like about my Canon is that the Canon has a compressed RAW format, which is, as far as I can see, just as good as the regular one, but the RAW files are quite small.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, it's a bit of a nasty shock having raw files from my XT5 when I owned that, because they're quite
yeah,
big.
yeah,
So you've
yeah,
got 40 megapixel raw files. They're fairly substantial. Don't put one of those through DxO, because then you get very big file.
yes.
But yeah, I think storage.
Have you tried Topaz Video AI?
I've never had a particularly good uh, relationship with Topaz. They don't have a press officer.
No, they
They
don't. They
don't really
don't. Yeah.
like talking to the press. You either buy it or you don't. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all you'll get from them, really. So
Yeah.
I've only ever used Topaz Photo AI in demo mode
Yeah.
for the purposes of review. I haven't used the full suite like you do.
Well, but I pay for it. Even like you
Yeah.
said, they don't like press, so I don't get free license for that. So I have to pay for the whole thing. But I do use it, and it does works from time to time. It did rescue me a few shots if I missed the
Yeah.
focus a little bit here and there. But the video AI is actually pretty spectacular. But again, for the video AI, for those who are into video and contemplating on Topaz Video AI, it's a very good software. But it's very, very resource hungry. You do need a top end computers to do things, and also the files. Oh my goodness, the files are huge.
And
Yes,
they like
massive.
you. They'd much rather you did your processing online, where
Yes.
you pay again,
Yeah,
because then you that as far as I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Topaz deal is that you can do it locally on your machine, but
You
if
can,
you're in
yes.
a hurry,
Yeah.
do it online, but you pay a bit extra, but you'll get it sooner.
yeah, absolutely. And but they recently changed the structure of Topaz, and now it's a subscription model. Yeah, it's a subscription model now. You don't get perpetual license anymore. So that means
As
that
purely subscription, right?
yeah, if you do subscription, and they actually give you online credit every month, so like you can use it. Not like before. You only got a fixed amount for the whole year. If you use it up, you have to buy more. But at the moment, you get a rolling thing, and a bit like airtime you buy from your mobile contract. So you keep getting more and more, which is fine. I haven't quite used it all up yet, so because I don't do a lot of upscaling. But there are times when I need to rescue a footage where it doesn't look too good, very noisy, or just in general, maybe I want to reuse some of the older footage which shot in 1080s, and I want to put in a 4K timeline. With that, when it doesn't look too good, I can upscale to 4K with reasonably good results, and then I'll use the Topaz Video AI.
I don't know about you, Jimmy, but all the emphasis at the moment on higher quality video codecs for cameras, all the video stuff I've had to fix in the past has been much more basic than that. Like you've got something in 1080 that needs upscaling,
Yep.
or it's rather unstable and you need to stabilize it, or it's noisy. That's got nothing to do with the latest cameras. That's just technique and using very old tech to shoot with. What we actually need AI for is for fixing stuff that's broken. Pretty much. And
well, then that brings back to the whole point of about talk about the camera and lenses thing, right? So in some way, I mean, I think I saw some of the comments earlier as well about cameras. I'd rather focus on lenses because lenses probably make more sense than the camera itself. I mean, I could quite easily, if I'm not in this profession or doing YouTubes and things like that, I could easily just run the camera to the ground before I upgrade or buy another one, because the camera that I use today is no difference for what I do anyway to the very first Canon 5D that I bought in 2005, and I don't think it will. Yes, maybe there are some differences. Maybe a little bit cleaner ISO, but to be quite frank, I could still get similar images. If I look back at the images I shot with that camera in 2005. I mean, I don't see how much I can improve on that shot that I took back in 2005, and that's actually being honest. And so, like, in that case, I could continue shooting with that 2005 Canon 5D, and I don't need to upgrade the camera body. I just keep buying better lenses.
It's probably a bit harder to shoot with those than a mirrorless camera, and also the lens is probably not of the same caliber as mirrorless lenses. That's the only thing. I'm sure there are some very good Canon L series lenses back in the day, but the regular consumer lenses were not really in the same territory.
But that goes on to the discussion that we had many times is so like is technical sharpness and perfections that important, right? Because the new mirrorless cameras are high resolutions, got more resolving power, got better dynamic range, got cleaner ISOs and shadows, highlight, whatever, everything. But like you can easily take a 5D and capture great images still. There's nothing to stop you creating great images.
Do you remember that 17-40 f4 L?
Oh yes,
lens?
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Not a terrific lens, but a very useful focal range. Yeah. So I'd be very surprised if you ever had a client come back and say, "Do you know what? Those shots are great, but I'm not so happy with the corners." Because it's only we're the only ones to worry about things like that. So I think that's an example of a lens that wasn't especially good, but it's very useful because of its focal range. It's just that little bit longer. 16-35 is fine, but the 17-40 is just a little bit longer, and it wasn't that big a lens either.
It's just like the Olympus lens, right? The 7-14 and the 8-25. The 8-25 is way more versatile, just because it's a little bit longer. Yeah, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Even though the other ones got 2-stop faster, but then in terms of usability, I think the 8-25 is way more versatile.
You have to weigh up what's most useful against what's the best quality, and very often we're chasing tiny differences in quality that nobody's going to care about. Whereas actually what you really want is kit that's useful.
Yeah. Well, Angela Player One, hello, welcome. I think I saw earlier you just joined. And so if you buy a new camera and the lens style, you need both. Yes, we're not just talking about when you first started. I'm just talking about when you upgrade, when you decide your next purchase, which one would you prioritize yourself to buy, a lens or a camera? But I mean, that's a good point too, right? When you first started photography, I always give the advice to people: focus on the lens, prioritize on the lens first. You get a good lens, and you can get the cheap body. You don't need the highest and the latest, whatever. You can get a body to mount the lens on. You can be a second hand, you can be a beginner level body. It doesn't really matter. But get a good lens. A lens will last way longer than a camera. and that
difficult
kind
when
of
you
the
first
same thing,
start.
right? Yeah.
It's difficult when you're starting out there because you don't know. You don't know what's going to be useful and what's going to be good. So maybe you just got to buy a thing and a kit
Yep.
lens, and
Yep.
then see what it doesn't do that you wish it could. But very often it is about skill and learning what the camera does and how it behaves. You
Yeah. Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of a way of putting this without sounding snobbish in a way, but you can't you you can't buy your way out of ignorance.
Yep. Yep.
You do have to learn some stuff in order to buy wisely. So
Yes.
if you do get
Yep.
a basic mirrorless camera as a beginner,
Yep.
you are going to have to learn some stuff. And
Oh
if
yes.
it's
Yes.
too complicated for you,
Yep.
you're not going to fix it by buying another one that costs more money. The
And
only way
that
to
is
fix it is to learn what it's doing and why it's doing it.
yes, and that is why I think manufacturers should still make beginner level cameras, which they don't these days. You know, like look at let's use Olympus as an example. You know, Olympus EM10, great, fantastic camera. It's got all the capabilities, but at the same time, very, very easy to use. When you switch to any of the PASM mode, like aperture priorities or shutters, it's got this big giant icon, having like a simple icons and things like that, just to tell you exactly what it does. So it's a beginner thing that for people to learn, and I think they really should make those cameras again. Like it's unfortunate that you see not many camera manufacturers do things like this these days.
It is. I think camera makers would rather cameras are difficult to use, so they can sell you a simple solution. Do you remember back in
Buy
the
high
days of
resolution,
point and
better,
shoot
faster
cameras?
lenses.
Do you remember back in the days of point and shoot cameras where they were pitching these cameras to people who didn't know anything about photography and didn't
Yep.
want to know? And the manufacturer's idea of making things simple
Yeah,
was
yeah.
forget about shutter speed, aperture, and PASM modes. We'll give you 25 different scene modes instead.
Oh yeah.
How is that simpler?
I know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and I
Yeah.
really missed those old paper menu that we used to come with the camera, right? And you go there, you see the
Oh, yeah.
aperture priority, and it has a little diagram showing the person, in the background, how
Yes.
how blur it is when you do like open up the aperture.
Yeah. But then, do you remember the disappointment when you get a big fat manual and realise it's in 40 different languages? And
Oh,
your
yeah,
bit
yeah.
It's only about 5 pages.
Yeah, there's
But-
waste of paper.
But the thing is that manuals you can browse through a manual and you'll discover stuff you didn't realise.
Yes.
The camera can do that you didn't know about. That's quite interesting. Sorry, hang on a minute.
Yep. So I don't know how many of you are still missing those paper menu that we used to have.
Amazon.
And,
Amazon.
Oh,
that'll
yeah.
be my new drone. That'll be my new drone, Jimmy. I'll go and have.
all
a
right,
look.
your new drone.
I haven't got a new drone. I haven't got a new drone.
But it's really cool. It's I really miss those paper printed menu that we don't really get these days. All of them are either PDF you have to download on the website, but even those menu doesn't really tell you much, to be quite honest. And it's more about all these special features here and there, things that become quite complicated if you ask me. And for me as a photographer, all I care about is always going to be the same thing, which is the exposure triangle, where I can find those settings, and that's it. That's all I care about. Computation stuff is really handy. OM system stuff is really, really good. I love them. And but at the same time, I'm not gonna be constantly using those features. So so in that case, they don't really make much difference across the entire landscape. Whatever brand, whatever system, whatever camera, as long as I can find where I can change the ISO, shutter speed, aperture, and that really is all I care about. Or AF, how
Yeah.
I can choose the AF, here and there, and that's it. That's all I care about. Like all the 20 different pages of the menus in the back screen, I only ever care about maybe 2 pages.
Have you ever had that thing where it seems to happen more with video than with stills, where you try to set a function in
Yep.
the menus,
Yep.
but then you find you can't do it until you
Yep.
go to a completely different menu to make a
Yep.
change to the settings there.
Oh.
So, for example, on a video camera, you might think, oh, do you know what? I want to shoot? I want to shoot 4K 60, but it's grayed
Yep.
out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
because you
yeah.
need to go into another menu to change a codec from one thing to another. That's very annoying.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yes, I would love to. I would love to go back to simpler
Yeah,
cameras. I've
simpler camera.
mended one of my old film cameras, Jimmy. I mended it
Oh
myself with
yeah,
my
yeah.
own bare hands. It's
Wow.
my Pentax Spotmatic,
Yes, Spotmatic. It's a great
and
camera,
it
that
had
thing.
a sticky mirror.
Oh,
So I googled it. I thought maybe it's something to do with the mirror mechanism, but apparently it's a little cam and lever and spring in the base plate, which can get sticky. So I
right.
took it apart, lubricated it, and it worked. That'll be
Yeah.
probably the last time I'll ever fix anything properly. But yeah, so I've got my camera, I've got my film.
Yep.
Time to go out and do some film photography.
Yeah.
So I'm
That
I'm regressing. You're buying new gear, Jimmy. I'm going backwards.
No, I got a new film camera too from Lomography. So like
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually a great piece of kit, which you'll see in my video, in my future video, because I haven't actually got a new film cameras for a very, very long time. I know Lomography still produce film cameras, but most of them are simply toys. You know, they're plastic, and they just not really a camera. You know, they're just for people who have a little bit of fun of it and forget about it. But this new Lomography camera, the MCA, if you want to know what it is, because it's already been announced, it's not a secret anymore. MCA, it's a new compact point and shoot film cameras. It's menu and with autofocus, so it's actually very, very good. And also the build. You know, I've never ever seen a Lomography camera is built like a professional camera ever. You know, like I said, all of them were plastic. And this is the very first full metal camera that I've ever seen from Lomography, which is kind of insane. But anyway, I finished the roller film yesterday. I still have to develop them to see the exact quality before I can comment fully on it. But so far, the operational side of it is pretty impressive. You know, it feels like an old school camera with a little bit of a modern touches to it because it's got autofocus and it got a digital LCD plate on top of it. But it does have features like first and second curtain sync, and then it's got the multiple exposure button. I mean, it's cool. It's really cool.
So are you going analog then, Jimmy? Is analog the new digital?
And no, I can't afford it. It's too expensive.
No, it is expensive. The only thing that's got me back into it was finding a way of getting my analog negatives into my digital workflow, and also finding out that it's getting easier than ever to buy film and get it processed. I've had a couple of issues with color negative film, mainly the whole digitizing thing, because you've got that awkward orange mask color, which is very difficult to deal with. But black and white I find is very easy to do. Somebody asked me a question earlier on, what lens do I use with my setup? It's the Olympus 60 f2.8
macro.
So macro. So that gets you just the right magnification. If you get it properly perpendicular, you just need a light source which has got a nice smooth diffuser. I have tried it with the phone, but that doesn't work because the camera just focuses on the dot pattern of the phone screen. So that doesn't work. But yeah, just a light box or something like that. Nothing more elaborate. I've tried a couple of film masking gadgets. I've tried it's not the Lomography one, it's the other one. It was a Kickstarter. It'll come back to me. And I've got a JJC one with a film strip holder.
Oh, yeah.
But I find a curious problem is that where the film strip holder has some thickness, you get a shadow around the outside of the negative. Very small. So
really?
I'm just going back to putting the negs flat on my light panel. And then I'll just use a bit of a weight on the frame alongside to make it as flat as I can. Just photograph it perfectly perpendicular and those are the best results I've got so far. So I might carry on doing that. But so when I first went digital, I didn't bother with analog anymore because the whole process was too difficult. Flatbed scanners aren't really much good for 35 millimeter. film scanners are really slow and expensive. But until I figured out a way to photograph negatives and
Yeah.
get really good results, that's changed it. So I'm going back to my old negs now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've told you the story, Rod, and I spent, that's before like what the method you're using now, photographing negatives, which is I think way easier and way quicker, possibly high quality. But I had a dedicated film scanner, back in the days, the Nikon Cool Scan, and
Yeah.
I had a lot of negatives, and it took me 4 years to digitize all of them. Obviously, I'm not doing like full time. It's not a full time thing for me to do because they're very, very slow. So I only do it whenever I have time. But it took me 4 years to digitize all of them because each frame, I'm talking about each frame, took me about, I would say, probably on about 5 to 8 minutes to scan.
Yeah, because
It's slow.
they're slow.
Yeah,
Whereas
very,
now,
very slow.
if I use the camera, I can do a 36 exposure film in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I just position them by hand, and it's quicker positioning by hand than it's trying to line up film holders. So
Yeah.
that's what I do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've got a comment here. This dive to the screen. I still want a Pentax 17, but it's cheaper to buy a vintage half-frame camera.
Is it? That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not so sure because the film cameras, the point and shoot cameras are actually getting quite expensive.
The original Pen F, that must be quite expensive to buy used, isn't it?
A decent example from Japan, I think you can get it for about 250, 300 quid, but obviously you have to pay import
Right.
tax and the shipping
Import,
and things like that. So by the time you reach the UK, you're still probably about 400 something pound. And for a decent clean one, obviously there are some battered versions of it, and you can buy for quite a bit cheaper. But 17, the Pentax 17 is quite expensive, I know, and hence I think the lomography cameras might actually be a better option for you. And it's actually cheaper than the Pentax 17. It's built way better than Pentax 17. It has way more features than the Pentax 17. And have a look at the MCA and the lomography one. But don't quote me on it just yet, because wait until I develop the film and tell you whether the lenses are actually that sharp or not, or the focus, whether the autofocus is accurate. But from what I know, it's using the same lens as the LCA, and also the Minitel lens that they use for the Leica cameras. The Minitel lens is pretty sharp from what I remember. So if it's the same lens, which they quoted it is, it would be quite decent lens. So the combination of this whole thing could potentially be a very good for those who may just want to have a nice premium feeling, decent point and shoot film camera instead of buying secondhand that you worry about like it's not working or warranty and things like that, or pay extra for the Pentax 17. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So Carl's got his own method for doing negatives. So I think that's a good idea. I haven't got 2 pieces of glass for holding my negs, but maybe I should look out for that. One Dream says the JJC holder the lines line up with the negatives. They do. The issue I have is that the film strip, the negative holder is about a millimeter thick.
Yep.
And because the light is right directly behind it, the frame itself casts a very narrow shadow around the edge of the frame. So if you've got a really thin negative and you correct the levels later, it does tend to show a kind of shadowing effect. So your black and white negatives will look very pale, about 1 millimeter around the frame. Depends on how thin they were in the first place. But yeah, I'm just going back to basics. I might get a sheet of glass to hold down the negs. Hopefully, so it won't cause too many reflections. But yeah, so what I have found though is that the 35mm film does not have the resolving power of the sensors we've become used to. I don't mind that.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying that as a warning for people who might be thinking of getting into it.
Yeah,
you can't blow images up in the same way.
No,
you don't have that same definition.
You don't, and in fact, you see grains. If you enlarge it, that's all you will see, and you're not going to get the same perceived sharpness as a digital image, unfortunately.
In a funny kind of way, though, I like it because you stop pixel peeping. because it's not worth it. It becomes all about the image for its own sake,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
stop.
yeah.
You're no longer so obsessed with the technical details. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see. I'll probably get bored after a few nights. I'll get sick of photographing negatives and never do it again. But at the moment, I'm quite
Well,
enjoying it. I'm also there's something unusual about black and white negatives because the tones are made up from grains.
yeah.
They seem to survive tonal adjustments
Oh
much
yeah, yeah,
better,
yeah, yeah. Yes, it does. It
more
does.
so than digital. You don't get the banding. You might have a really thin negative that's only occupying about the middle half of a histogram, but if you fix the levels, it looks great.
Yeah.
So the grain structure has an effect that's quite strange, quite unusual. So I'm
Yeah.
quite enjoying that. But I've realised going back through my negs, I thought I was focusing properly, but I wasn't really. You can't just flick your lens to infinity and hope that's going to do it.
Yeah, you need to 3D print a setup to mount the camera and the negative, so every time it's perpendicular at the right time, the right position every single time.
So so Chuck L88 is asking, so is the film never getting developed on traditional photo paper? I do feel a bit bad about that. I do have a bit of a conscience about that. But what I'm thinking is, for analog images I really like, I might send them off to Harman Labs in the UK, which will do fiber-based prints from
Yeah,
digital images. So I might still have some proper fiber-based chemical prints. I'll see. I might try it out, see how that goes.
nice. It's funny because I just got one comment here, and I just want to highlight that. I think that probably reflecting to what we discussed earlier about the EM10 Mark IV and how simple it is, the menu system, and I think that really is the whole point. I think we talked about it probably like several streams ago now, and modern digital cameras getting way too complicated unnecessarily, simply because it's almost distracting. The photographers. And because like I said earlier, like all I care about is the exposure triangle, and I'm rather focusing on how to take the photograph than to trying to find a feature for that scenarios or for that purpose or for this or for that. It's too many layers that kind of stuck in between the decision making process. And should I use this AI tracking for this, or should I use this what or that? It's getting too
Which
complicated.
which AI tracking scenario mode do I need for this subject rather than that one?
Yeah.
Do I need to change the stickiness of the AF tracking for different subjects? Do
Yes.
I need to swap from focus priority to release priority? These are all things which have come about for good reasons and probably with the
Yeah.
best of intentions, but they've made cameras incredibly complicated. So you always have this anxiety when you go out on a shoot
Yeah.
that you've left something on the wrong setting or you've overlooked something quite important that you should have
Yeah.
fixed.
Absolutely. I mean, like recently, I got the Fuji X-H2S. In the continuous focusing menu, the tracking side, it's got freaking 5 different
Yeah,
separate modes. They all have
yeah.
different pictures. You got the runner, you got a car, you got they're all freaking moving subjects. To
Have
be
you
quite
got
honest,
one for running and stopping?
yeah, they got one running in straight line, and got one running
Yeah.
erratically, left and right and towards you. It's like, oh, for goodness sake, I don't care.
Do you think a lot of this is to convince buyers how clever the camera is?
Yeah,
Not.
perhaps like, oh yeah, we got a mode just for that. It's
Yes. Yeah.
but like, do I care? No, I just point the freaking point to that subject and check it.
So I was thinking just to head back to an earlier point about upgrading and should you do it and is it worthwhile. I was reminded because I was writing a story about the new Sony A7 V versus the A7 IV that a lot of people have been complaining that the rates of change of OM cameras has been
Yep.
slow.
Yep.
Well, it's unfair to say just OM because it took Sony 4 years to add a partially stacked sensor to the A7 IV. That's not
Yeah.
quick. is it?
Yeah.
So it's not just OM, it's everyone.
It certainly is, and I think that we come to a point that development is very slow now. We talked about this. We're no longer
And it's
having the
becoming
megapixel race. We don't have that
it's
now.
becoming very specialized as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So all the development at the moment is towards high readout speeds, high burst rates, and high video frame rates, all of which are very important for people who use this stuff. But this is quite a narrow segment of the overall community, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
and
like it's like regular photographers aren't really getting anything new.
no. I mean, if it really like look deep down, in a lot of the new cameras that are being released in the last few years, you notice a thing. You know, like obviously in the early 2010s, there was a megapixel race going. So every new camera bumped up the number. Then we go to the ISO race. You know, then you got the ISO sensitivity going higher and higher and higher. Then it stopped. And like last few years, we talk about AI, AF tracking, subject tracking, and now it all stops. And you know. A video, you know, when the R5 came out, 8K video, and that has stopped now. You know, they don't really talk about 8K videos now in all the new cameras. They don't really talk about them now. Yeah. So what else? What else can you talk about the new cameras now? So I think the manufacturers are really struggling to find a tagline, you know, to convince people that, oh, we got a new camera, we got a new thing going.
Hipster retro cameras. So half the features, twice the price. That's the way to go.
Are you talking about the red dot cameras?
An example. No, but I'm sure none of us would mind if Pentax made a K1000D with no.
When are they going to do that?
Autofocus and but it's difficult because no camera makers now make big optical viewfinder systems with big focusing screens. They're all optimized for all the focus.
You know what? I think that's exactly the point. You know, if Pentax make a digital version of the Spotmatic or one of the MX cameras and the film cameras, old school, like you even have to wind the bloody shutter. You know, just like the Epson RD1. All it has is a digital sensor, and that's it. Everything is manual. Everything's mechanical. Still using a freaking K-mount manual lenses, which you can buy for $20. Wouldn't that be great? I think they're going to sell loads if they want to make one of those.
You're going to need a proper focusing screen.
Yes.
If it's going to be an SLR. I discovered this recently. I've recommissioned. I've got a Praktica MTL3, which is a great rugged camera, but it's got a terrible focusing screen. My Pentax Spotmatic 500's got a fantastic focusing screen. I didn't notice at the time how different they were, but you can focus with the Pentax. You can't really focus with the Praktica.
Because, like, you know, like at the moment, all these retro trends is going, all these vintage trends are going. You know, all these young hipsters are buying manual cameras, point and shoot cameras, left, right, and center, paying premium prices. Imagine all these people buying a brand new digital MX from Pentax.
if you know, it could be $1,500, $2,000, it would still make sense in the market. I think they could do it.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
If Fujifilm can make the X-Half at that price and Pentax can make the i17 at that price, I think people would pay for a K1000D or an equivalent. There's just no frills. It's not Magic Digital, quite.
Yeah,
that's
you know,
fanzine photos,
Yeah, and you can pick up any K-mount lenses. You know, imagine all of this vintage camera is not about resolution, it's not about sharpness. It's about the look and about the feel. It just go all into it. Buy a whole bunch of K-mount lenses for like less than $500. You got a whole entire system there.
Those lenses aren't bad. You know, they're pretty sharp. They're not designed for modern sensors, but they still do a good job. I've used them on the Sony body, and they're not so very far behind modern primes. So, I'd buy it. I'd call it a K1000D, and I'd buy it. No automation, no autofocus, just a shutter speed dial, and the
Yeah,
aperture
yeah, yeah,
range
yeah.
on those old Pentax.
Well,
Pentax
Johnny
came out in
Johnny
the 80s.
Young say that there is a cassette-looking thing with the sensor that you can put in the
Yeah,
camera. Yes, but it's
I
APS-C. It's
don't
not
know.
full frame, and
Yeah,
you have to attach a big, massive battery thing underneath the
I
camera.
think the issue with kind of talking about, I think, is getting back to a simpler way of working.
Yes.
And it's a sort of thing where a younger generation would probably say silly old fools, they can't keep up anymore. But actually, a simpler device
Yep.
lets you concentrate on the thing you're trying to capture.
Yep.
It's much more transparent than modern mirrorless cameras. They take great images, but they demand so much of your attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
less left over for the image
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And I just saw a comment popped up from Kerry, and if Sony had introduced the A7 IV in the first quarter of this year, and I'll probably still be shooting Sony, and I wanted wildlife rig, and the A1 II wasn't happening, and end up switching to OM.
okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
yes, it's interesting,
Well,
and
I think the A1 and the A1 II are extremely formidable cameras, but it comes at a price.
yes.
Um,
And I think if you're really
So-
going into the wildlife route, I think the OM is actually one of the better systems out there, especially when you're looking at all these long lenses that you can come with it, and considerably cheaper. Yet I think quality wise it's not so much far behind, especially the pro lenses, the 300 f4 Pro, all the white lenses, including the new one 50 to 200. They're all extremely well built lenses. High quality, really, really sharp, and you got a reach. You got a reach you can't possibly have in the full frame cameras. As simple as that. And unless you're paying an arm and a leg to buy one of those massive lenses, and you have to lug around with them as well. They're probably like 6 kilo each. So I can see that your thumb there looks like you're a pretty strong man. You probably be able to do that kind of holding, but I don't think I'll be able to withstand that kind of weight for anything longer than 10 minutes.
yeah. Well, so I'm trying to work out how to say your name. Is it Kelly Lee Man Jones? No, that doesn't
Where
sound
is it?
right.
I can't find it.
Okay. Making the point that they would have got the A7 IV if it come out earlier in the year, and used the 200 to 600. That's fine. So it's a timing thing. The one thing caught my eye in the A7 V specs was that they're saying that the improved sensor design and electronics and processing means it now offers 16 stops of dynamic range. But there's a little asterisk, and that's
Always.
that's only with
Always.
a mechanical shutter. So
Yeah.
if you use the electronic shutter for those high burst rates, you're not going to get 16 stops. I don't know what you do get, and I don't know why you lose dynamic range with an electronic shutter, but I know it's a thing. But
Yeah.
hey,
And to be quite honest, and I don't think you're gonna notice too much between 14 and 16 stops. I mean,
no.
unless you're,
scenes,
yeah,
most scenes are considerably less.
Yes.
If you want to shoot into the sun and still get detail in the shadowed side of your subject, maybe, but that is comparatively rare and probably something you try to avoid. Not
use a
something you need to do often.
use a bloody grad filters.
You could too. You could too.
that even out the playing field quite a bit, and
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I mean,
there's ways.
there are ways.
I would
There,
like-
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know whether I go along with what Eugene Maynard is saying about using a smartphone. Is that I don't know whether that's a serious.
The simple device already
question or
here.
not.
Then that being a smartphone. Oh, okay.
I don't think I'll do bird photography with a smartphone anytime soon.
I mean, like, it's depending on what kind of thing you want to do, right? And
Yeah.
like you said, the smartphone has its use, and then it can be very handy because you always have it next to you, and it's relatively compact. And it's come to the point that it can do pretty decent photos, but like you said, it can't do macro very well. You can't do wildlife
Yeah.
at all. Basically, you don't have the reach. Forget about. I know there are some video lately about the one of the smartphone from China. You can have that 100 times zoom, whatever.
Telescope attachments designed by NASA.
Yeah, yeah, whatever. Like you're not gonna
Yeah.
have the same thing, right? You
No.
don't have the same
No.
shooting speed as the proper camera. You can't track subjects. It just not
No.
that type of camera, regardless what you talk about them. Then I would be curious to see how many people actually use that lens attachment on the phone like this, and to do actual proper photography.
Loads,
To be quite honest,
loads on YouTube, Jimmy. I've seen loads on YouTube. Never
but
met
that will.
one, but I've seen them.
But that will be it. After the initial stages of all these content creators and influencers, and I bet themselves, even if they're giving them for free, I bet after that video they're not going to use it again ever. They're just going to put it aside, and that's it.
So
So
we
it's a
both
gimmick.
had products like that for review, haven't we?
We do.
We used them for review, then we never used them again.
That is true. That is true.
We'll mention no names.
But it is true. It is true. So I guess if you're really serious about photography or filmmaking for that matter, and get a proper camera and do it properly, and buy the camera for your needs as well. That's the whole conversation about today. Getting lenses or camera. It's just depending on what you need. Maybe over time you realize that okay, my interest in wildlife, maybe my interest in macro, and then you can find system that is good with that, and or camera that is good for that, and then you go with that and you move that route, or like what we talked about last week in the last stream is that if you have multidiscipline, you like to do several different things. If your day job is this and your hobby is that, it's no point. I mean, it's no harm getting two different systems, one for your job, one for other things, and so it's entirely up to you. You are the one who know yourself best, right? And what you need and what you want and what you enjoy doing.
Like my little job, which is photographing my own negatives, or if I did any other kind of macro work, that Olympus 60mm 2.8 is perfect. They don't cost very much used. They hardly weigh anything. They don't take up much room, and they're really simple to use. Any other system, macro lenses are quite big and heavy. I mean, we both had the Laowa 100mm full frame lens, didn't we? I wouldn't use that for scanning my negatives. It's just too much.
Not possible.
So if you're trying to archive a load of old film stuff, I would start with the lens. That Olympus 60mm macro is perfect for the job. Nice working distance, doesn't weigh much, and then choose a camera to use it on, and then just use those things for that job. They don't have to do your landscapes, your sports, your wildlife, your video. Just use them for that job.
Yeah.
I know it seems wasteful. Have more than one camera. Get the right camera for the right job, even if it means you have several.
Yeah. but on that note, the Olympus 60mm f2.8 macro is still very much ignored, I think, in the community. I mean, I think
you pick it up.
Yeah.
I think you pick it up and you think, oh, this is cheap, but actually, it's a very
fantastic
good
lens. It's a fantastic lens.
Yeah.
It's so sharp, that lens, and like you said, it's like the 45 1.8, like all the 1.8 prime lenses. It's extremely small, extremely light for what it is, and it's weather sealed as well. Not many people talk about it. It's actually weather sealed. You can see the ceiling of it around it. The only thing that I would say that you have to buy the hood separately. It does have the same collapsible hood as well.
I got a cheap one. I couldn't afford the good one. I could, well, you know what I mean. I thought if I bought a used example, I'll get a third party hood.
Yeah. But the 60 is fantastic. I mean, I have to say, people should really try that lens. And like, it's cheap. It's not expensive. If you really maybe just dabble with macro lenses and just trying to get some shots with it, it's actually pretty good.
It's quite handy as well, being the smaller format with the extra depth of field, because if you can't get all your negatives completely flat, because at the end of the strip they do tend to curl just a little bit.
Yeah.
If you can't get them completely flat, there's a bit more give with the depth of field.
Yeah.
And I also shot at f8, where I ought to be seeing diffraction effects, but I'm not. That's another curious thing I found. That I can shoot at f11 on my Micro Four Thirds lenses, when if you do some basic maths, you would say, oh, you're going to have terrible diffraction. But you don't. I don't know why that is, but I've used Fujinon lenses at f8 on my X-T5, and they're starting to get soft. So I think diffraction is one of those funny things where it's the size of the hole in the lens that causes the diffraction. So I think the lens design probably has something to do with it.
Yeah.
So if the aperture mechanism is at a different point in the lens design, that would affect how much diffraction you get. But anyway, let's all go down the whole diffraction rabbit hole. I was just saying that this is a lens I would buy for close-up work, even if I didn't use the camera for anything else.
Yeah.
So it's an example of getting the right gear for the job.
And Kerry said a diffraction correction in camera.
I think you can always tell diffraction sharpening.
Yep.
Because it's visible.
It is visible. I don't think it actually corrects diffraction to that extent.
I don't think it does. No.
No, but because you do see the difference between the optimal sharpness range and compared to the smallest range. You do see the difference there, but I don't think it actually, because diffraction is one of the things that is very hard to correct and properly. Yeah. So unless it's optically, the digital corrections always have some artifacts, and then you don't necessarily see it as pleasant. So I don't think that is as good.
I've not seen digital diffraction correction done particularly well. Capture One does it. It's quite convincing about it too, but it's really just sharpening.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same. I think the lens design probably does make a difference, because diffraction is affected by the physical size of the hole the light is going through.
You can actually use Topaz Photo AI to enhance it, because in the diffractions in Topaz AI's mind is softness. Right. So like it just basically uses AI to regenerate the softening edges into a new edge, so it becomes better.
I did use the Lumix. Oh God, what was it? It's a 12 to 35 f2.8 and f22 for a long exposure. That got a bit soft. I will admit. But no, I've not found too many diffraction issues with the Micro Four Thirds, as long as I stay at f11 or faster. But I'm struggling to think in other systems of lenses that I would buy into that system for. No. So I think the Fujinon 51.0 would be one, but I'd take on board what you're saying about the slow autofocus. That would be limiting. In Micro Four Thirds, I think that 9mm fisheye body cap, I do like that.
It's a quirky little lens.
I shouldn't like it, but I do. Sony, I think perhaps the 20 to 70. That's a very nice, clever lens.
Right. Okay.
But Nikon and Canon, I'm struggling a bit to think of anything that would make me buy into that system today.
Interesting. That I think I can sense the similar sort of vibe, and but at the same time, I bought into the Nikon because of work, and not so much about the lenses, and obviously because the ZF retro charm that I got into. So I first got into the ZFC, which I quite like the body. So as soon as they announced the full frame body, I was like, oh god, I gotta have that because it's full frame, man.
Which color did you get?
The ZF. Yeah. The orange leather one, the black with the orange leather. Yes, it's nice.
See that I'm a very shallow person, really. I would buy ZF because you can get the different colors. That would almost make me buy a Lumix S9. The only problem there is I don't really like them very much, but I like the colors.
Yeah, but that's something about like camera design as well. I know we talked about designs getting boring these days. Like one easy fix is give us some color choices. Just like the ZF, just like the S9, just give them different covers. Like you don't have to change the metal body. Just give us some different color wrapping or whatever you call it, and just a bit different. That's just so boring. Always the black thing.
Sell them with a couple of different skins. You can swap out.
Although you can Yeah, but you can get stickers, right? I saw people
Yeah,
use
yeah,
stickers and wrap around the cameras and things. You can actually change them, and
yeah.
I guess you can have some third-party fixes. Third-party fixes.
Yeah.
Just one last comment before wrapping up, and I think Eugene said that my adult children, he corrected later, my adult children have access to all my exotic gear, and they constantly shoot, but they choose phones and print Fuji Instax.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the thing is, what I think Fujifilm has tapped into with the Instax, and I think I noticed with this Kodak half frame film camera,
yeah,
the prints, you feel completely differently about a physical print to a
yeah,
digital image.
yeah,
You know, we all imagine there's no difference, doesn't matter whether it's on your screen or on a piece of paper. It actually does make a difference. And the physical act of just going through a stack of prints is completely different to swiping through on screen. Oh, you got one of those printers, yeah.
I got the Instax Y printer.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. You know, I do print them. I do use them to print, and especially for my kids. I just like to print them and stick it to the fridge.
yeah.
It's just one of those things. I think not just about nostalgia, but it's good to have some physical medium that
It's
you
a
can
different-
actually touch. Yeah, it feels different.
It's a different experience.
Yes.
You have a different interaction with the photograph, and
Yes.
it helps if
And-
with Instax things are unique. If you use it as an instant camera,
Yeah,
there is
and
only
again,
that print.
And again, I think as soon as you start printing, you will realize that a lot of the stuff that we've been talking technically for a long time doesn't matter at all.
No,
Dynamic
no.
range? No. Once they print on the paper, it makes no sense. Sharpness,
But-
pixels? No.
It's like this Kodak half frame film camera.
Yeah.
The level of detail is shockingly bad, but it's enough for a 6x4 print.
Oh yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
probably all you'll ever use it for. So
Yep.
actually, it really doesn't matter very much.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a few years ago now, I went to London for the Taylor Wasing photographic exhibitions for the winners for the 2021, 2020, I can't remember. And there are a couple of runner-up pictures that was printed in a very, very tiny square. And literally that square, you can use a 0.5 megapixel camera to generate because it's so small.
Yes.
But it's
Yeah.
a winning image, you know, like I guess, you know, like it's not only about the presentations, but also about, you know, the content itself. And it's just really interesting to see a whole mixture of different formats because a lot of people always think that, oh, you know, to win a competition, I need the highest quality glass, higher quality, highest resolution, so I can print huge. And for entering all these competitions, I made those mistakes when I was younger, and I later realized it does not matter. You can print a 6x4, you can print a 10x14. It doesn't really matter. A winning image is about the contents, about the actual ingredients in the pictures. Not so much about how sharp it is, how big you can print. It's not about any of those stuff.
Some images look better small. They're
Yes.
more compelling small. It's like when you go through Lightroom, you think, "Oh, I like those thumbnails," but when you look at them individually, you think, "Oh,
Yeah.
they look better when they're thumbnails."
Yeah, absolutely. So, on that note, we're going to wrap up today's, and it's gone to our normal time now, so which is very fantastic. To hear all your comments, and we're gonna definitely have another chat next week and see if I'm still around after the 360 drone that I'm flying around, and then if I can still survive through that motion sickness, I'll let you guys know how it goes. And but yeah, certainly it's going to be interesting. And for those who don't know, that of course DJI is going to have another drone coming up, which is 360 as well. Even though it's heavily rumored, but it's already leaked everywhere, so we know it's coming. And the reasons why Insta360 or Anti-Gravity has launched this drone now, which supposedly launch in January next year, is because they know DJI is going to launch it before Christmas, so they want to beat them. So they just want to went ahead and, you know, do it at the beginning of
Anyway.
December.
Yeah.
So a month early than the original anticipated date, just to beat DJI. But in I think that I'm happy. Whatever, it's competitions, right? And I got to try it firsthand, and to see how the 360 drone flying experience is like. And
hopefully you won't find out the half a dozen features that won't arrive till the next firmware update in January.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm worried about now. I'm going to open the box and see to check everything's grayed out. Is it like wait until 2026? Oh, thanks, but no thanks. That would be annoying.
Yeah,
but we shall see. We shall see how it's gonna go. But anyway, we're gonna have another new topic next week. But do please leave some comment down below what you think about today's topic and what we talked about, and also suggest anything that you may want to hear or you would like to discuss, and we're very happy to do that. We're just gonna wind down towards Christmas now, so it's not gonna be very serious about these chats now, and just gonna have a good time about things that you like to talk about, things like that. So remember to just leave some words down in the comment section below after today's chat. So just one reminder, and if you're in the UK, London Camera Exchange have a photo competition which is free to enter, and I'll be one of the judges. So brownie point for any of you who want to enter. Just remember to give me a few tips here and there, and then I'll make sure you'll be especially looked after.
Oh yeah.
Just joking. But yes, they do have some great prizes. OM System is one of the sponsors. I think Canon, Fujifilm as well. So that means that there are some gears around for prizes. So look out for that. Like I said, it's free to enter. So do check out the website, LCE, London Camera Exchange. So it's good. Anyway, so until next time, I guess I will speak to you soon. And thank you very much for joining us, and have a good day. Bye for now.
I'll try and buy something for next time, so I'm not left out.
I spent enough for Christmas now. I think I'm gonna call it now. I'm not gonna do it anymore.
Okay. All right then.
All right then. Bye.
All right. Bye.